Hello,
Hi.
hello, Laura. Very
Hello,
good.
Frank.
I think it's afternoon for you, isn't it?
Yes, it's 6 p.m. here in Poland.
Oh,
Yes.
there we go. It's 10:09 over here in
We
good old
still have a
Mexico.
whole day ahead of you.
I still do. That's right. I actually just started my teaching. I've already taught two classes, right?
Nice.
And I had a class cancellation for my third one, which allowed us to go live and
Thank you so
talk
much.
right now. So hey, it's my pleasure, Laura. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. I've been having an amazing day putting the challenge together, putting on some finishing touches, and now here I am. I've been wanting to do this and talk to you and just, share some wisdom with the people who are watching as well.
Oh, there we go. Sharing wisdom. Isn't that what teachers do, right? So,
Yeah.
very good. Very good, Laura. So I was just telling in the previous failed attempt to start up this live.
Yeah.
Um, I was just telling people that you're a person that I respect, in the realm of ELT, and I wanted to give a brief introduction, but realize that it's much better if you do so yourself. So, would you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing in terms of pronunciation and teaching?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm Laura Maliszewska. I heard you pronounce this name before as well. Very good pronunciation of that.
Laura Maliszewska. I've been
There you
practicing.
go. Yes. And I'm so proud as a
Thank you.
Pole. Thank you so much. I'm a linguist. I graduated in 2019 from the University of Wrocław here in Poland. And I specialize in phonetics, phonology, and syntax. And phonetics and phonology are basically understood as pronunciation. What led me to love it so much was the first year of my official phonology and phonetics classes, where I
Mm,
learned all about the international phonetics alphabet, about how the sounds are actually produced inside your mouth, was the biology behind all of it, was the different set of rules for every single language when it comes to how sounds are connected to each other. I was just so fascinated by this whole world. And as a Polish person learning in Poland, having never lived abroad, I was always in touch with American English in particular because I had American teachers from
hmm
the Chicago area.
Okay.
And I was really fascinated with accents and different pronunciations in general, but very close to my heart was the American accent, the general American variant of it. And I really wanted to, first of all, understand it through and through because I'm a
Of
nerd
course.
and I love
Yeah.
doing all of the, like diving into the nitty gritty of different mechanisms. I just love that. And then I also wanted to first of all improve my own speaking practice because I'm not a native speaker. I really wanted to sound I wanted to sound my sounding to be polished but not Polish. I'm
Okay, you
really
wanted it to
proud
be
of that.
polished, but not Polish, of course. Nice, nice
So
wordplay right there. Yeah.
that's what I was always working on. And thirdly and lastly, I wanted to help other non-native speakers of English, first of all, improve their pronunciation, but going deeper than that, I wanted them to become more self-confident when they speak, because I think that viewing your own pronunciation as not good enough, quote unquote, is the one of the main sources of problems when it comes to speaking English as a non-native person, because we feel kind of ashamed of our accents. That's my experience with my students,
hmm
or just in general, the fear of not being understood because we think we don't speak clearly enough. I just wanted to be able to address all of that in my lessons with my students who actually wanted help with that, and also to be able to explain it methodologically when it comes to the linguistics and the background of it. So that's how it came to be. And I started my YouTube channel in 2019 upon graduating because I really didn't want to stop learning. I'm a curious person.
hmm
And then I decided to enable my viewers to be able to also have lessons with me. But since and you know this firsthand, we don't have all the time in the world to be able to teach everyone who
Oh, we
reaches
certainly
out to
don't.
us.
Of course. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's why I decided to go with pre-recorded and live group programs that would happen periodically from time to time, season to season, to be able to enable more people to join my spaces, and
Mm.
also to improve their English on the whole. And that's what I'm doing with the challenge, which we're going to talk about a little bit as well. And that's all about me. So thank you for
Wow.
being able
Well,
to talk to me today about all of this.
it is my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Laura. That was really a well thought out, overview of what it is that brought you into the field of linguistics, and more specifically into pronunciation, right?
Right.
And then what you've been doing, even upon graduating, right? So, thank you. Um, you know, like. I've been asked this question quite sometimes. Sorry, like quite a few times, and many people don't know why somebody who's not a native English speaker,
Mm-hmm.
like decides to, teach the language themselves. Because I've had this question asked in the past when they go like, why didn't you teach Spanish if that's your native language? Like, what are you doing teaching English, and why have you devoted so much time, first of all, learning it, and then learning how to teach it? And they go like,
Mm-hmm.
well, if you like being a teacher, like, what didn't you skip the part about learning the language? Because like, if you teach your native language, then it should be easier, to have great command of it. And I mean, I have my very specific answer for that, but I am very interested in listening to yours. Like, what is it that drove you into, the language itself rather than your native language in
Right.
terms of teaching it?
Okay, and I'm really curious to hear your answer too. Mine comes from me learning how to speak English when I was 3 years old. My parents
Hmm.
signed me up to English classes in my kindergarten, and when I was three, it was heads, shoulders, knees, and
Of
toes,
course.
knees and toes.
Yeah.
But then as we we're growing up, and we were getting more communicative. There was more basic commands of English. So basically, I started learning and being immersed in the language through play as a little kid, and I didn't have any native speakers around me. They were all Polish teachers.
Hmm.
And as I was, getting older, like 15, 16, I actually started teaching tutoring in maths. I had a younger neighbor who needed some math tutoring, and I was like, okay, I'm good at math. I can help her out. But I was like the subject at school, and my biggest skill was always like I was best at English. And people were like, okay, so you teach math, why don't you teach English as well? And that's how I was like, oh, I can actually, because I have this like innate understanding of it. I feel it in my body sometimes. I think in English, and from that perspective, I can tell people how it feels. But also, like I mentioned before, I've always been a little bit geeky. So when it came to like
Hmm.
intense grammar exercises and explanations in my high school, when it came to like third conditionals, etc., I was always like, oh, I really want to understand every single thing, like how it works. That's why I became a syntactician later on. But I was
Hmm.
always focused on the explanations, so I could always also explain it to others. And at some point, my high school friends told me that they actually prefer my teaching style
Yeah.
than my teachers. And I
Oh,
was
that's
like, I
actually
think that's a
ringing a
sign.
bell right there. Uh-huh.
Right. So yeah, so basically I was just tutoring. When it comes to choosing my major in at university, I knew I was supposed to learn English and just study it further.
Hmm.
And I just used my skills and how much fun I was having while teaching, because like every time I could explain something extremely difficult, for instance, third conditionals, or help with specific pronunciation patterns or problems, I always had this immense feeling of gratification and satisfaction. I was like, yes, someone understands it thanks to how
Yeah.
I explained it. That's so
Hmm.
cool. So
That
I
was that was
just
even
was
before
it.
you actually had any knowledge on pedagogy, right? Like,
Yes.
it was just you being able to explain it innately.
Yes, exactly. Thanks to my mom, I think, because she was a teacher as well. So I
Oh, okay.
kind of had this approach of being more of a mentor than a friend sometimes when it
Oh,
came to explaining things. But yeah, I always loved it. So that's how it all came to be. I just continued all throughout my university years. And now it's my full-time job alongside making videos, creating content. I love it so much.
wow.
What's your
Do-
reason? Why did you start?
Actually, my reason isn't as magical as it's as yours is, although there are many areas that overlap. And what I'm saying is that I didn't have a knack for English. Like, didn't even know about its existence, and since I was like probably 7, 8 years old, when like every Mexican family has relatives in the States, right? So, of course, I am no different, and I actually had a couple of cousins along with my aunt who came down to visit us. And like nobody told me that they, I mean, I knew they were from far away, but like nobody told me they would be speaking another language, right? So like they spoke a little Spanish, right? But mostly they communicated, especially between themselves, in English. And so they could talk to us, right, in Spanish. I mean, broken Spanish, but like
Hmm.
understandable enough, conversational, let's say. But then they would turn to each other and then start speaking English, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" Like to me, it was like this magical fairy tale language that they could use as a secret language, because they could very efficiently and effectively communicate among themselves, but like nobody else understood. So I was like, this is a secret language, and it sounds amazing. It sounds magical. They're producing sounds that I've never heard in my life, right? So like right then and there, I just fell in love with the language. And while not having this innate ability to, like dissect it or understand it, I became obsessed with it. Now, the problem is that my parents weren't wealthy, and like I couldn't really afford um, like having classes on it, or enrolling into an English academy or something like that. It wasn't until I reached high school, actually, that I needed to convince my dad that I needed to be enrolled in it because in a language institution, and that was because here in Mexico you have free English, like it's part of a curricular in public school, in public schools to have English lessons, albeit kind of like similar to what you said, like like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. But that is like it's head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and the verb be throughout all of your education, right? So like from I mean, at the time. We only started having English classes once you reached middle school, right, or junior high school, and you had those 3 years, and then you got to high school, and you only had 1 year and a half more. That was for public education, so we can say that for free,
Hmm.
right? But then it was only the verb to be, right? Like the most advanced thing that you got to see was a little bit of vocabulary on different areas, but primarily it was all focused on grammar. And the most I mean, the most advanced topic, grammatical topic that you got to see was the past of a verb be, right? So everybody talks about verb be and was and were, right, as if they were two separate things, right? But like that's I mean, I wish, the quality of language education, especially English education here in Mexico, were better. But I guess I am contributing with my 5 cents towards that goal, right? But
Exactly.
at the time, it was what it was, right? So I stopped having like free classes in public education, so I needed to convince my dad to enroll me in a language course, and he did after some convincing, right? Because it wasn't easy. Because I mean, they were expensive, and just like I said, I mean, we weren't poor, but we weren't wealthy. So like some convincing needed to happen there. And once I started there, the rest is history. I realized that later, and this is where our stories start to overlap,
Hmm.
in the sense that I realized that I understood it, but also because I geeked out on it, quite a lot because of my love for it, right? My obsession about language, and more specifically about its pronunciation, right? So I was able to explain in greater detail and with more ease my classmates, right? And then we're like, dude, like I need to ask you about this because I never understand the teacher as well as I understand you. And that was like, like that's the light bulb moment,
Hmm.
like when you realize, well, maybe this is what I should be doing because I wanted to be a doctor, but the fact that I would faint every time I saw blood, didn't didn't allow me to actually pursue a career in medicine. Um, to this day, like I see blood, I clap. Sorry. So, so the thing is that, there's a lot of doctors and nurses in my family, right? Like core family and also the extended one. So everybody thought or assumed that I would be a doctor. Like I got a stethoscope and like a lot of equipment gifted to me as I was growing up, and like what kind of doctor faints, right? When they
Yeah.
see. So like I couldn't pursue that, although it would have been great. I needed to focus on something that I was good at, like naturally, and that I had a passion for. Once I realized that this was actually a career that I could pursue, and that I could go to university to learn how to actually do this. Professionally, then I was like, this is a no-brainer. That's what I'm going to study. My classmates say they understand me, so I kind of already have something. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
if I could call it a gift or a knack or whatever, but it was something that I could exploit, right? And yeah, I mean, and it was life changing. Once I started university, like I started having classes on phonetics and phonology, and I was like, what the heck is this? Once I realized there was such a thing called IPA, and that I was completely butchering the language as I was speaking, before because nobody had taken the liberty or at least the time to teach me about pronunciation. Like I was like, oh, this is a game changer. Like this is
Yeah.
something amazing. The fact that we have symbols for sounds, like the fact that we didn't have to like resort to spelling in English because I mean
Yeah.
spelling doesn't help you with pronunciation in English. Then I was like, oh, okay, so this is another language that I'm so interested in learning. At least another system. That was the IPA, right? So.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
As
once I got in there, it was just like just magical to me. And like that was back in 2001 when I enrolled in university, and I've been teaching English, well, since a year before that. So it's already been 24 years for me. Hence the gray hair, right? But in your case, I am thoroughly out, like thoroughly impressed by the level of English that you've been able to achieve. Now, you told me that you've been studying it since you were 3, so now it's not, like that mysterious. But
Mhm.
at the same time, there are people who live for 30 years in the States and they never get to actually, attain the level. What would you say was the key to you learning, the language so well that a lot of people just mistaken you for a native.
I think it's the very reason, the very fact that I was so young when I started. So I was acquiring my native language,
Hmm.
Polish, as a Polish person living in a Polish household in Poland where people spoke mostly Polish. I was acquiring that naturally. And thanks to the kindergarten classes, plays, because I was also part of the kindergarten, like, I mean, all the kids were performing for like Mother's Day or Children's Day, but there were also like English performances, and I was always part of that. So I had like I had to break, or I don't even know if I had it, but I had to like break the fear of speaking English at a very young age.
Hmm.
And
That's why you don't
I
even remember the time when
Yeah,
you were faced with that fear.
exactly. Exactly. And I always loved the feeling of just being able to speak to other people. And I remember one moment when I was, I think, 6 years old, and I was traveling with my parents around Europe. We did it a lot. And I think also one of the reasons why I'm so good at
Oh no, you're
understanding.
breaking up.
Oh
You
no.
actually froze.
Okay.
Oh, you're back.
I'm
Sorry,
back.
you froze a little bit, but you were telling us about that part that you participated in school performances.
Yes, so I was doing that as well. And also, while traveling with my parents when I was a kid around Europe, I was always exposed to so many different languages, and I always practiced them. So in Germany, I would speak a little German. In Italy, I would speak a little bit Italian. And for English, I hadn't traveled to England for a long time, but I would always resort to English when speaking internationally. So I think, yeah, I think that's the reason why I was so good at it, because I always seeked, or sorry, sought
Hmm.
opportunities to speak and to connect and to just be able to understand what people are telling me. So that was just a natural obsession that I also had.
Nice. Wow. Okay. Okay. So you did get like plenty of chances to use the language communicatively, and
Yeah.
you don't even remember, if it was at some point difficult for you to even use it, right? Because I mean, you were so
Right.
little. So yeah, no, I do remember how terrifying it was for me to actually do so. But then at the same time, my nerdiness pushed me to to understand the fact that I was living in a non-English speaking country, right? I understood that I would have to fight against the fact that nobody around me spoke English. I didn't have access to such a wonderful tool as most of our students do nowadays, which is the internet, right? Um, that's something that perhaps we can talk about in another live stream, because I think people just don't take it. I mean, don't take
I
the advantages
know.
that they have. I mean, they could be just hooked on. I mean, every time, every I want to say every second, but at the same time, having some time off, I would just hop online and then start using language because there's always somebody willing to talk to you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are weirdos out there, but I mean, it's something that we have to weed through. But the fact that I I didn't really start learning English officially, until I was 17. And that's when I convinced my dad to, actually pay for my classes. So I didn't have a chance to learn the language since I was a little kid. I would say I was actually old already. By 17, you're almost an adult, and and most of your muscles have already hardened. So I don't know how much harder it was for me, compared to a child learning how to utter the sounds. But I do believe that's actually why the reason my English can fool some people in terms of sounding like a native speaker, but I also understand that it doesn't sound like a native speaker 100%, right? Now, people might not be able to pinpoint where I'm from
Mhm.
because of the way that I sound, but I also know they wouldn't confuse me for a native speaker. However, and just like I tell each and every one of my students, having a native pronunciation is actually irrelevant if what you're looking for is communication,
Yes.
and then like transferring the language or transmitting the language, which is actually what we should be going for, right? Now,
Yeah.
sounding like a native speaker, which, by the way, what even is a native speaker is another another
Yeah.
topic for another day. But it's about being able to speak clearly, to speak fluently, and then confidently. Like
Yes.
once you have those three pillars down, which is actually the basis of my teaching, like the rest is just the bells and whistles. Like yeah, you can start using idioms, you can start using complex language, phrasal verbs, things like that. But the first and like the first thing we should focus on is on getting the message across, right?
Right.
Later you can add
Right.
the bells and whistles, but hey, first it's communication, and that's paramount, right?
Exactly.
So you have a pronunciation challenge coming
Yes.
up. All
And we
right.
focus on that aspect because, like you, I believe that what, first of all, like language is a very human ability. Like there are animals that communicate with each other, but what helped us also evolve was the fact that we could talk about like the danger outside, the tiger outside, or something. We could talk to each other. We could grow as humans, as a species, and the fact that we have this tool that we can use, that language is a tool that enables us, first of all, to communicate with the people around us, like our family, but also distant people, like friends that live abroad, or we can work somewhere in a totally different place. If we know the language, is going to be even better. It's going to be even, not even when it comes to the career perspectives or anything. It's just like the experience that we have as humans. I'm very spiritual, so I'm feeling myself
Okay.
going into a very spiritual path, onto a very spiritual path right now. But communication really enables us to connect with other humans. That's what I'm trying to say.
There we go.
And when I hear my students tell me that they are just sometimes feeling ashamed when they're about to give a presentation at work, or when
Hmm.
they tell me that if someone were to come up to them and ask for directions on the street and ask in English, they would be because they couldn't just muster up the courage.
Hmm.
That breaks my heart.
Of
And I
course.
always react very emotionally to it on a deep level, because I don't
Mhm.
have this block in me, and I can see how it changes my own life. I witness myself how much more easily people want to like talk to each other once they're not just like, oh, sorry about my accent, or just sorry about my poor choice of vocabulary. I'm only B2.
Oh, the
Like
over
I
apologizing. Yes, that's
yeah,
right.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been teaching for about 14 years now, and I've been just gathering all of the things that people have been struggling with and telling me about it. And I think most of it comes down to self-confidence. And when it comes to speaking, most of it comes to the lack of practice and the troubled relationship that we have with our pronunciation and how we feel about
Of
it.
course.
So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to create a space, a language space, where I could share bits and pieces on, first of all, how to view language, view the system of language as a whole, that we can be great at understanding from at listening comprehension, but if we don't practice, it's like why don't we practice a little speaking too, and go
Mm-hmm.
from the passive understanding to the active using of the language that we understand so well. I wanted people to be a little bit pushed to start seeing pronunciation as something that is not as scary. I wanted to
There
just
we go.
demystify it. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to show people how to understand the symbols of IPA as well, for the geeky ones out there, because I know there
Yeah.
are some. And I just created this program 3 years ago when I was still living in London during the pandemic. And I was like, I need like what's it going to be like about, like I just want to have all of this. And I was like, why don't you talk about all of it, the accent part, so pronunciation, speaking,
Mm-hmm.
and also give them like a little boost of confidence. So every single thing that I do inside the accent and speaking challenge is threefold. I focus on three things. Every single day for 7 days, we have daily videos. One of them is on pronunciation. So we go from consonants to vowels to linking to different melody patterns. Then
Nice.
there is a daily speaking video where people can just explore within themselves what blocks them, or what makes them feel happy when they speak, or just like giving them some basic topics that they can start practicing on their own, like speaking to themselves, like talk to yourself about this. And sometimes I know we can be a little bit apprehensive when we talk to ourselves because we don't want to sound crazy, but actually I this is what I've been doing my whole life. I remember even when I was a student, I would come home from my introduction to linguistics class and I would pretend to give lectures at home to an imaginary audience, explaining the very concept I had just learned. I just loved it so much, and I wanted to use my speaking skills to be able to communicate. So just giving people some help when it comes to what do I even talk about. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
these are the topics that you might practice, and then there's always some some tips on, for me, how to just, even when we are getting a little bit in too much in our heads, like about what we can say next, or how do I not make a mistake or something like this. I wanted to create a challenge that would really put people out of their comfort zones and look at the relationship to English, the relationship to themselves in English. And I know it sounds
Mm-hmm.
really like woo woo, but as a person who became bilingual by choice,
Mm-hmm.
I really understand it from many different perspectives. And I know that the people who joined for the first time in 2021, they just loved the challenge. They were sharing daily what their progress was, that they didn't know about these facts, that you can do aspiration in English. What is that? I
Yes.
enjoyed the vibe and the community aspect of it. Everyone was cheering each other on. And I realized that I can't just do it as a one-off thing, that this challenge is only going to run once. So I've been running it every single year, and now it's the fourth round, and we start on Friday, this Friday. And I just couldn't be more excited because this challenge is free. Anyone from anywhere can join, and it's 7 days of just pure fun, a little bit like nitty gritty, but also so laid back. And I tried to explain it in the best way and the easiest way possible while maintaining the level of feeling that that you're going to get better once you apply these tips, and once you really just practice for as little as 10 20 minutes a day, and you're going to
Mm-hmm.
see some amazing results. So this is my pride and joy, this
There we
challenge.
go.
And that's why I created it. I had so much fun making all of these pronunciation videos for the first time, and yeah, I've enjoyed it ever since.
Nice. So this is the third iteration of the challenge.
The fourth one. So we had
Oh,
the
the
first
fourth
one in
one.
2021,
Mm-hmm.
2022, three, and now the fourth one.
Okay. Alrighty, and each and every time that you've run it, then you've been getting, like better and better comments. I'm thinking, right? So
Yes.
this being the fourth one, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And actually, you were so kind as to allow me to, like hopping and take a look at the videos themselves. I mean, talking about the quality of them, I mean, it's just top notch. The fact that you took the time to actually invest in lighting, invest in the background, and I can say this is not something that's improvised, right? This is something that's well thought out, and and that you also want to deliver the best possible quality, albeit have this thing being for free, like to
Yes.
completely for free, right? So you didn't you didn't escatimate on like on the amount of money that you actually invested in it. So that's something quite commendable. And
Thank you.
talking about the quality of the content itself, because I mean it might look amazing and it might be really pretty, but if the content doesn't like isn't
Hmm.
up to par, right, isn't up to standard with the nice background, let's say, well, it wouldn't still be like worth it. And that's something that certainly doesn't happen over here. I analyzed the content that you shared with the students. I also watched the ones on on the speaking portion of it, because that's another thing. Like many of these challenges or courses on pronunciation focus on the mechanics of it. Right, it focuses on the content, but not necessarily on the practice.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's actually where I find your challenge to be different from the other ones out there. The fact that you don't stop, right after you explain how to pronounce E and A, or the difference between these two sounds, but then you go into the practice of it. Because, I mean, knowledge without practice, especially when it comes down to pronunciation, is really nothing. Just something that you have in your head, but you can't really use, right? So, like, theory needs to come accompanied by practice, and that's
Yes.
something that you also cover in your challenge. And like having all of this information provided in 7 days. I mean, this is quite a quality course that I just still don't comprehend how you can give it for free, but I am certainly grateful that you do, because it allows me to invite my students to join it and experience how great a teacher you are, and at the same time, like take advantage of the material that you're putting out there for
Yeah.
free.
Yes, thank you. Because I really love the challenge, specifically because I wanted to make it entry level. So anyone who is even beginning to start to learn English, I mean, not necessarily maybe like very, very beginners, but if you understand what we're talking about here, like if you can understand me and Frank, trust me, you're gonna be able to understand everything within the challenge. And also, like you said, it was not improvised, but it was a result of me having been teaching this for I think 6 years at that time, and I just
Mhm.
had it all ingrained inside of me. Like I was already like camera on, I knew what I was doing because I didn't
Nice.
have I had some points, but because I have been immersed in teaching specifically pronunciation and phonology and phonetics and accents and everything around it, I was just in my element. So I think it shows. And I worked really hard on it, and I really wanted people to join it because at the time my YouTube channel was growing as well, and it was growing rapidly. And I was like, I think that if people come to my channel, they see me, then they see that I'm a Polish person, and they want to learn from me. Not only can they join anything that I create as a program, but also they can have a taste of it and see what I can deliver and what they can learn with me and how fast everything can improve. Because 7 days,
Mhm.
this is a short amount of time, very short. But I think what I managed to accomplish inside the challenge was give enough information to be able to take it and even learn from the materials for a few more weeks if you really wanted to dive in, if you really wanted to get the best of the practice. But even 7 days, if you just are dedicated enough and apply it, you can see, oh, I actually can produce the TH sounds, two of them actually. That is great.
Well, first of all, there are two, and then,
Yeah.
like getting to grips with the fact that there are two and that we must learn how to pronounce both of them, right, in order to be understood. Because
Right.
that's one thing that students don't quite get sometimes, the fact that if you mispronounce one little phoneme, you might be saying like completely different word, like talking
Yeah.
about sheep and ship, like things like that. Like people don't really understand how this little sound that you're mispronouncing is actually making your language harder to be understood, right?
Right.
And it's why we we teachers who focus on pronunciation need to actually keep doing it. And because I've also noticed, and I don't know if you have as well, many teachers out there focus on grammar or perhaps vocabulary because that's kind of like something easy to teach. Something because it's just structures. You make sure you follow them, and you learn. Like it's about learning by heart the vocabulary, right, and then having students produce language. But when it comes down to pronunciation, not a lot of people know how to do that, right? Not a lot of people are aware even of the different sounds. Native and non-native alike, and that's because, for example, me as a native Spanish speaker, I mean, I'm sure there are so many sounds and phenomena that happens in Spanish that I am not even aware of. I mean, I use it, but nobody has taught me, right? So that's the thing, like I'm pretty sure also that many American speakers don't even know that, like sometimes when they connect a T to a Y, it sounds ch, right? As in don't ch. And like they might not even realize that they're doing it, right?
Hmm.
So it's about that, like making it explicit that these things actually happen and, helping you make your language that much clearer.
Yes, exactly that. And I subscribe to that with Polish. For me, I sometimes would love to be able to understand how Polish pronunciation works to someone who asks me about it. I'm like,
Hmm.
let me check Wikipedia because I actually have to do some research now.
Hmm.
But when it comes to English, yeah, and I've had this happen to me many times when I was speaking English with native speakers and sometimes from the UK as well. And they would ask me,
Hmm.
like, so how did you learn something? And we would go down the grammar route and they would
Hmm.
tell me, I don't even know the rules of grammar of my language. How do you
Hmm.
know them so well? And I was like, well, because as learners, that's how we learn all of them. We kind of like
Hmm.
analytically approach it, and then are we able to internalize it and have it more as a muscle memory almost. So yeah, and I found it very interesting that we as teachers and also learners of languages, sometimes we know more about other languages than
No,
our own
the
native
native
ones.
speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it happens all the time. I'm pretty sure American who's learning Spanish like can teach me about Spanish grammar, and
Yeah.
like that also happens. Vice versa. So it's I mean that's actually why I love what I do, and I've been doing it for 24 years. And people go like, so Frank, like, will you ever like change industries or something like that? I was like, no, this is my passion. As the saying goes, like you want to have a job in which it doesn't feel like you're working, right? then just find your passion and find a way to make it profitable. And I kind of did. I wish it were more profitable, but that's because I'm lacking on the entrepreneurial, aspect of it. But it is still, like profitable enough for me to live off of it, and for having done so for the past 24 years, right?
Right.
So and it's only getting better and better, especially now with the advent of new technologies and new platforms. And another thing that I wanted to congratulate you for, I think I saw that you have somewhere around 64,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. My goodness, that's quite an achievement because if there is a platform in which is super hard to actually gain a following is YouTube, and you've been able to do so in like 3 years, right? 3 or 4 years.
How many? I started in five. I did it in 5 years, and it's been steady
Okay, okay.
growth, and I'm really happy with that. Thank you so much, because I made a lot of videos on learning languages, and those were the ones that did amazingly well. And when it comes to like what you were saying about finding your passion and just being able to live off of it, English is my passion. And also, what I found out later was filmmaking was my passion. So making videos in English,
Oh,
perfect.
oh my goodness. I used to be way into recording, like audio recording, right?
And you have a
And I learned all
podcast.
about Exactly. I mean, I learned about compression and learned about equalizers and learned about, you know, samples and hertz and all of that. Not like professionally, like I didn't, I didn't enroll in university or anything like that. But I got really into it. And then once you're able to, you know, merge your passions and then create a product. That's actually why I started the podcast and why I actually started teaching online because I mean I already had all the equipment. I was just it's just a matter of you know like merging them and then being able to deliver a quality product, right? And then
Yeah.
just exploit your passions and then be able to serve with passion. I mean, what better? What better thing to
Yeah.
actually do, right? So there we go. Laura wanted to just remind our viewers in this moment about the challenge. You know that the
Right.
times, the dates.
Okay, I have the very important prop that we have
Mm,
here.
mm-hmm,
It's a classic Volkswagen van because I think it really encapsulates the spirit for me of like the American road trip, I think
mm-hmm.
classically. And what I wanted to do this year is to invite everyone to go on a little road trip with me.
Nice.
And that's why the challenge has this new name called Roadmap. I have like my props for making my videos and I have it like right here.
Oh wow.
It's called Roadmap because I want this challenge to be a kind of a map that people will use to navigate their way, their journey in English. So it starts this Friday. So we have a few more days to join. You will be able to join even throughout the challenge. So if you just like go June 1st, June 2nd into it, we're gonna get you there. And it is hosted on my website, and I can see that you pinned the link to it, so people you can join through Frank's link over here. If you want to sign up for the challenge, you're gonna receive the emails about how to continue, how to do the challenge. So everything is gonna be taken care of. You just sign up, and we'll take care of the rest. And there's gonna be 7 days of daily videos, daily trainings, some bonuses as well, because every single year I kind of do that to myself because I always have a lot of work behind the scenes because I mostly do everything myself. This year I have some help here with the challenge, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes. You not only teach, you do the things on your website, etc. So every single year I'm like, I want to do some prizes and some bonuses for the people who are most active because I'm a good teacher like that. And then
Oh
I'm like,
wow.
Laura, do you have the time? And I'm like, yeah, of course. So probably there are going to be some bonuses for people to
Nice.
join and are very active. And at the very end, we're going to have like a live ceremony to just like complete the challenge together. We're going to talk about the challenge, talk about the struggles, etc. So it's going to be a whole vibe. It's going to be a party. You're invited. Come
Oh.
join. And yeah, let's just do this together globally. We already have over 50 people, I think, from all over the world, from all over
Mm-hmm.
really. And I'm so excited for everyone to come together and just be there for 7 days, just helping each other out. So we start
Oh wow.
May 31st, Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't miss it. If you're here, you can't miss it.
So there you have it, folks. If you've ever, you know, wondered what it was like to have a, you know, like a really experienced English teacher who could help you on that very specific, you know, nightmare that some people even consider called pronunciation. Well, there you go, guys. If you have 7 days, if you're available for 7 days, by all means, what you should do is enroll in this course. Of course, you can use my link, the one that I'm sharing right here, and then just become part of it. Because I mean, first of all, it's super high quality, and second of all, it's for free, right? So what do you have to lose, right? It's just learning and growth. Um, about it, right? So there you go, Laura. I wanted to thank you so much for first of all inviting me to become part of this challenge a little bit, right? And also because of being open to coming live on my channel and then having this talk, which I appreciate, and I'm sure also my students appreciate as well. So thank you once again for allowing us to learn from you.
Thank you so much. And I've had a lovely time. I knew we would just be talking off the cuff about anything language related and just like exchange stories. It's always so good to talk to other teachers for me. So thank you so much for being so kind to host this. And
It's my pleasure.
also thank you for reaching out to me because people, I don't know if you know, but it was Frank who followed me on Instagram and that's how we got in touch. So thank you for doing that. And
Yeah, that's right. It
yeah,
was actually one of my students, one of my current students, who I believe was also part of the speaking challenge. Right? That's how
yes.
he knew you.
The
So and then
OG.
exactly. exactly. Like that he was the link, that actually got us to know about each other. So,
Incredible.
Laura, once again, thank you very much. I want to
Thank
thank
you.
everybody who took the time to stay with us from the very beginning. And if you didn't, I still thank you for joining and giving us the most important currency that's nowadays, which is your attention. So, thank you very
Thank
much, and
you.
join the pronunciation, the road trip, right? The road trip pronunciation course or challenge, and you won't regret it. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you around. All right. Have a good one.
See ya.
Thank you once again,
Bye
Laura.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you
See
so
you,
much.
everyone.